Okay, so have you ever felt like you're just kind of stuck? Like waiting for something to happen before you can really move forward, waiting for permission to really live or lead?
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way, like they're on pause or waiting for the right moment.
And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. This whole idea of self-leadership and taking control, not waiting for permission. And we're using this super interesting transcript from a YouTube video to guide our conversation. It's called Stop Hiding Who You Really Are. And it's all about the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah, the deep thinker. That's the channel. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They do some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it gets deep, sure.
Oh, for sure. So the video transcript, it really gets into these like philosophical ideas about why we wait and why we might hesitate to take charge. And our goal today is to like unpack the key takeaways, kind of give you a shortcut to understanding these powerful ideas and how they can, impact your life.
Yeah, like a crash course in Nietzschean self-empowerment.
Exactly. Okay, so one of the first things the transcript talks about is this concept of the death of the follower. What do you think they mean by that?
Well, I think it's pointing to how we're often kind of trapped, right, in these systems, society, work, even our families sometimes, that are set up for obedience, not necessarily for, like, greatness.
Oh, totally. Like, there are all these unspoken rules and expectations that kind of tell us where we can go, when we can go, what we're allowed to do.
Yeah, and it's like we're always waiting for someone else to tell us it's okay to move, wait for approval, wait for guidance, wait.
And the transcript argues that a lot of people aren't really living, they're just being led.
Right, like sleepwalking through life. And even the choices we think we're making, they're often shaped by these fears that have been, like, instilled in us, Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of stepping outside the lines. And then the transcript asks this crazy question, what if those lines were never real to begin with?
Whoa, mind blown.
Right, like how much of what we believe is possible is actually just, like, self-imposed limitations.
So, okay, we've got this death of the follower thing, this idea that we wait too much for permission. But then the transcript switches gears and talks about the power of, well, not waiting, the power of taking action. It even says, and this is a direct quote, "The world is not controlled by those who wait. It is controlled by those who act."
Boom. And then it backs it up with all these examples from history, right? Revolutions, scientific breakthroughs, all these people who changed the world. And the thing they all had in common was that they stopped asking for permission. They just went for it.
Yeah, like they didn't wait for someone to give them the authority or the opportunity. They just took control and like imposed their will on the world. The transcript uses that phrase, imposed their will.
Powerful, right. And I think what's interesting is that the transcript also acknowledges that it's easier to just, stay comfortable, stay safe. We're kind of wired to avoid risk.
Right. It's scary to put yourself out there.
Absolutely. But the transcript is saying that if you wait for the perfect moment, for all the stars to align, well, you'll probably be waiting forever.
And then it hits you with this line. If you are still waiting for someone to tell you that you are ready, you will be waiting for the rest of your life.
Oh, that one stings a little.
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call. Okay, so we've talked about waiting versus acting, but what's actually holding us back from acting? The transcript gets pretty real with us here. It asks, what are you waiting for? Who are you still trying to impress? Who are you still afraid of disappointing?
Those are tough questions. And the transcript doesn't let us off easy. It comes back with this, a brutal truth, it calls it. And that truth is, no one cares.
Harsh, but...
Yeah, but hear me now. It's not that people are mean or anything. It's that everyone's so wrapped up in their own lives, their own struggles, that they're not really focused on us as much as we think they are.
Okay, that makes sense. We build up this idea that everyone's watching and judging us, but maybe they're not.
Right. And even if they are, the transcript asks, so what? Who cares what other people think?
That's a good point.
Because the real tragedy, according to the transcript, is not failing or even dying. It's living a life of wasted potential.
Meaning we never really go for it because we're too afraid of what other people might think.
Exactly. And that fear leads to hiding. We play small because it feels safer.
But then we miss out on everything we could be.
Yeah, exactly. And the transcript argues that it's not really about ability. It's about taking responsibility. It's about stepping into the light and saying, okay, this is me. I'm in charge of my life.
Yeah, it can be scary, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly empowering. Okay, so we've gone from follower to action taker, from fear to taking control. And now the transcript introduces this concept of the will to lead. And it's not about being a boss or having a fancy title.
It's like an inner strength, right?
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. It's about strength of will, strength of action, the strength to stand alone if you have. And it's interesting because the transcript talks about how Nietzsche, that's here, right? How he really despised weakness, but not in a mean way.
Yeah, it's not like he was putting people down.
Right. It's more like he saw how much suffering comes from, like refusing to take responsibility, from choosing to be powerless, and he hated to see people suffer like that.
So it was more like he had compassion for those people, but also wanted them to realize they had more power than they thought.
Exactly. And then the transcript, it asks us to think about those times in our own lives when we've hesitated, when we've obeyed without questioning, and to ask ourselves, what did we really gain from giving away our power?
That's a good question, isn't it? Like, did playing it safe really get us where we wanted to be? Did just following orders make us happier, or did it just make us more afraid?
Right. And the transcript reminds us, pretty bluntly, that no one is coming to save you. If you want something to change, you have to step up and do it yourself. Even if it means standing alone, that's real leadership.
Not waiting for someone else to lead the way, but being willing to lead yourself. Okay, so we've talked about leadership and the importance of taking action, but the transcript also talks about struggle, like how it's actually necessary for growth, and it introduces this whole burden of power thing.
Yeah, it's like level 2 of the self-leadership journey. The transcript argues that going through tough times, facing challenges, it's not fun, but it's how we build resilience, how we build strength.
Even great leaders, they all had to go through those tough times. The transcript says they built themselves into something too strong to ignore.
Exactly. But here's the thing. When you start stepping up and leading, when you start showing your strength, you're going to get some pushback.
Yeah.
Some people aren't going to like it.
Oh yeah, people don't always like it when someone else is rocking the boat.
And the transcript suggests that a lot of that criticism, it actually comes from a place of
Fear of what?
fear of your strength, your willingness to take charge. They see you doing what they're afraid to do, and it makes them uncomfortable.
That's really interesting. So how do you deal with that kind of criticism?
The transcript asks, how will you choose to respond? Will you let it stop you, or will you keep going?
So it's about choosing to stay strong even when people try to bring you down.
Exactly. And it's about understanding that power is taken, not given. And when you take that power, when you choose to lead, you're also taking on a big responsibility.
And that's the burden of power.
Right. The transcript calls it a weight that most people refuse to carry. And that weight, it involves making tough decisions, acting without guarantees, and being willing to face the consequences, even when things don't go as...
So it's not about bossing people around. It's about taking responsibility for the tough stuff.
Exactly. And it's about realizing that you are the only one who gets to decide what you can and can't do.
Meaning the limits we see are often just in our heads.
Right. Once you understand that, the whole world looks different. You start to see through all the excuses people make for staying stuck.
And that's when you can really start to live a life without limits.
Exactly. Okay, so to wrap things up, the transcript basically says that it's not about whether you're capable of leading. It's about whether you're willing to carry the burden that comes with it. Are you ready to step up, take responsibility, and make things happen?
So it's not about waiting for permission. It's about giving yourself permission.
Exactly. And the transcript makes this point that readiness is an illusion. You're never going to feel 100% ready. You just have to go for it.
Just do it.
Yep. Confidence comes from taking action, from pushing yourself, not from waiting around.
So the choice is yours.
Yeah.
Keep waiting or step forward and take control. As the transcript puts it, the world belongs to those who refuse to wait. Powerful stuff.
Super powerful.
So to quickly recap, stop waiting for permission. Embrace action. Take responsibility. And remember that true power comes with a responsibility that most people aren't willing to carry.
Big stuff to think about.
So where in your life are you waiting for permission? What could you do if you gave yourself permission to lead, to create, to make a difference? Think about it this week. Challenge yourself to step outside those lines, those limits that maybe, just maybe, were never real to begin with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep thinking deeply.